Time for another update. It's been almost exactly 2 months since I started the carnivore diet, fully expecting to hate it. Because you guys have asked for a too long didn't watch recap in the beginning of the videos, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So 30 days into the carnivore diet, I stopped needing so much salt. I had some improvements in skin conditions that were super interesting, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the timestamps for all these down below if you wanna just click to what you want to see. Swimming, I get that swimmer's high. It's kind of like the runner's high immediately in swimming. And this is something that I wasn't hitting every time I would swim, or even like every 3 or 4 times I would swim. And so I'm super excited about that. I need way less electrolytes when I exercise now. And so that's like a really kind of adaptive or cool change that's come with being on the carnivore diet for longer. I did go off carnivore. I got so bloated that my 5-year-old asked me if there was a baby in my tummy. I'm back on carnivore very happily now. There were some things that I held on to, like some improvements in my body and my health and whatever, that stayed even though I went off carnivore. And there were some things that came back and made me think that like carnivore is definitely the way for me to go right now. I did get sick and I seriously questioned my lack of vitamin C and my lack of minerals. And so I was taking a multivitamin for a while, which some people think is carnivore blasphemy. And we'll talk about We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. The biggest observation that I thought was super interesting is that I need so much less salt. Like I hit pretty much 30 days on carnivore. Even though I hadn't been 100% strict, I'd been probably like, out of those 30 days, I'd probably been nothing but animal foods for like 28 or 27 of them. Where you guys saw it, and I think it was my 3-week update video on carnivore that I ate some cookies one day. But for the most part, I was on carnivore for that whole first month, and pretty much 30 days on the dot, I stopped needing electrolytes. And so you guys have asked me how I feel when I know I need electrolytes. How do you know you need electrolytes? You just feel like, or I feel lethargic and like super thirsty. Like I'm thirsty, but I'm drinking water and it doesn't seem to be holding. That's how I know I need electrolytes. And also I feel lethargic, just like I tend on carnivore and keto both, when my electrolytes are right, I have tons and tons of energy, like way more energy than I had in high school, more energy than I had in my 20s. I'm 35 now. I just like wake up happy, ready to go, ready to do things, low stress. When my electrolytes are off, I'm just like lethargic. I want to sit and watch Netflix. And so that's how I know. And really what I think that is your kidneys are good at recycling electrolytes, but they definitely prefer for you to be taking them in. And so if your kidneys have to recycle them, that's a lot of effort for your body. And so your body's going to just be like, whoa, let's just slow way down. And so our kidneys don't have to do all this electrolyte stuff. My very scientific explanation. And so up to those 30 days, I was taking like 1/4 or 1/2 teaspoon of Redmond sea salt in my hand, and I just like put that in my mouth and then drink a big glass of water, probably 2 or 3 times a day, more if I would exercise. And that's just what I needed to keep my energy up, which electrolytes don't give you energy, but lack of electrolytes will make it so you are lethargic. So the first 30 days of carnivore, I didn't find that I needed to take magnesium orally. I still do Epsom salt in the tub a few times a week. And that's another way that you can get magnesium through your skin. I found I didn't need that potassium chloride, or whatever that low salt is, the potassium. And that was kind of interesting to me, that when I was on keto, I definitely felt like I needed that potassium. And then the first 30 days of carnivore, just taking that extra salt and then I'd be good to go. It's like an immediate improvement. Like within 10 minutes of taking that salt and drinking that water, I perk right back up. And so that was pretty interesting to me. And then what I thought was most interesting was that 30 days into carnivore, I just figured I'd be taking a lot of salt the whole time I was doing the carnivore diet. And something changed. I don't know what my body's doing or what it's adapted to, but I'm definitely not needing as much salt. And so that's kind of exciting, interesting to see that your body changes like that. And honestly, it's pretty nice to not have to go, like taking a mouthful of salt is not maybe my favorite thing to do. So that's kind of nice that that's gone too. Skin-wise, I've always had ingrown hairs, and it doesn't matter if I shave or if I wax or whatever. So like on my legs, I have always had ingrown hairs, and I thought it was from swimming. Here's Bob to say hi to you again. Hi, Bob. But I thought it was from swimming because like the chlorine, and I always grew up and I was a swimmer, and I just figured that that was something that I was going to have to deal with as long as I was a swimmer, and like my skin had permanently had the microbiome changed or whatever. I don't know what's going on. But about about probably 3 weeks into the carnivore diet, and I thought it was just like a coincidence at first, but no, it's like stayed for the last month, is I don't get ingrown hairs anymore. It's like I've exfoliated the same, I've done everything the same, like used the same lotions and everything as I did before carnivore, and I'm not getting those ingrown hairs. So that's obviously not a huge problem, and that's not something that is like somebody would completely alter their dietary protocol for, I wouldn't think, but I just thought it was an interesting observation that I've had that pretty much since I started shaving my legs at like, I don't know, 11 or 12, whenever that starts, till now. I'm 35, and it's never gone away. Even when I spent, like, there was years I didn't swim, and it was still like I'd exfoliate or I'd do whatever, and I still had like quite a few ingrown hairs in my legs, and that went away. Sleep is still very good. I'm still needing like the same amount of sleep, but the difference that I've seen, because I told you I did go off during spring break, like I was teaching my kids how to make banana bread, I was teaching them all sorts of stuff, and I was just eating kind of whatever at other people's houses and not really worrying about being on carnivore. I was still eating meat mostly as my meals, but I wasn't making a completely separate meal for myself compared to my family for like 5 days on spring break. And so I found that when I went off carnivore, my sleep went back to where I'm waking up like every 90 minutes, 120 minutes, and not bad, but just like rolling over, getting comfortable again, going back to sleep. And on carnivore, it stays the same where I'm sleeping the same, but I wake up feeling so much better rested, and I just sleep through the night, which everyone knows it can be kind of frustrating to wake up in the middle of the night and then have to like think about going back to sleep and then go back to sleep. Carrying on with that went those 5 days that I was eating banana bread that my son made, and I can't remember what else I ate. Ben and Jerry's. That was a vodka fueled decision. And then I make a lot of stir fries, that's just kind of what I do, like egg roll in a bowl, which is really good. And then just random stir fries with meat and veggies and coconut oil. And then I also made deviled eggs using avocado oil, mayonnaise, and I ate some of those. I still like definitely, since doing carnivore, find that I crave a lot more meat, and I don't feel like I've had like a good meal unless there's been a lot of protein in it. But I went off just kind of for the sake of having 3 kids home for spring break. But it was interesting to see that I seem to crave meat a lot more than I did. And so when they went back to school, I started kind of going to a more lazy form of carnivore, which at the end of this video, I'll link to another video where I talk about like kind of the different varieties of the carnivore diet, what you can eat on the carnivore diet. And so I kept in some avocado oil, mayonnaise. I really found that that kind of bothers me more than I thought it would. It's like a healthy fat. I thought it would be okay, but I definitely can feel a difference just in my digestion and stuff when I eat it or not. So once they went back to school, I started eating my meat again. I prepped a big old brisket in the Instant Pot, and I have that in the fridge, so I have an easy go-to for my food again. I've started grilling again now that it's above 0 degrees. But yeah, going off carnivore and then even out of ketosis, I did notice that I handle being out of ketosis a lot better than I did before. Before I'd get like a pretty good depression once I'd get out of ketosis, and this is documented. I'll put the study up that ketosis does help with depression and anxiety, like lots of different mental health stuff. And I didn't notice that come back as much. I did still notice the energy, and that's a big reason of why I do keto and now carnivore, is because I just have so much more energy on it, and I really enjoy that. It makes me just a lot more motivated to do all of the things I have to do and then still have time and energy to do the things I like to do. So it's just kind of a quality of life boost. Definitely got bloated. My 5-year-old, he saw me get out of the shower. He's like, "Do you have a baby in your tummy?" And I very much do not have a baby in my tummy. And so out of the mouths of babes, I definitely got bloated enough that my 5-year-old thought I had a baby in my tummy, going off of carnivore. Then I think that's back down. Right now I'm about 5 days back onto carnivore, and I think that that kind of sorts itself out pretty quickly. And then plans. So am I planning on being on carnivore for the rest of my life? No, I'm not. That's not my goal. It's interesting. I'll just keep going by how I feel versus any particular plan or commitment to anything. Right now, it's still definitely the best for me. So I've been adding in some mushrooms and cooking with garlic, which is usually what I use when I'm cooking for the family anyway. A little bit of like coconut aminos or even soy sauce, if that's what I'm doing for the family anyway. And then I just pull my stuff out before I add the veggies. Like the veggies really do cause a bloat, which is something that I wasn't expecting. Definitely carnivore is feeling good for me right now, and I'm going to stay on it as long as it feels good. But again, I don't beat myself up. Like, I didn't feel bad for going off spring break. I was kind of expecting, like, I probably won't stay on carnivore for spring break. And that's something that if you need someone that is 100% black and white all the time, I'm probably not your girl. So that's something that I think you can learn a lot based on going off and on different protocols, and just like learn about how your body feels. So my plans or my goals for carnivore is that I would like to do meat only, no eggs, no cheese, no butter, just meat and salt for 10 days. I still haven't done that. Now I'm thinking I'll probably do it when it warms up and I stop drinking coffee anyway. But for right now, I feel really good on like having a little bit of dairy, having eggs occasionally. I don't really crave eggs until one day I do, and I have like 6. So I'll try to do meat only, no coffee even, once the weather warms up a little bit. I'm kind of curious, like there's that celery juice fad going around right now, and there's people that I totally trust on the internet, and I believe like they're not making it up, that they do find that they really like the celery juice in the morning. And so I'm curious about that. I kind of want to see what would happen if I did celery juice and carnivore. And we do have a juicer left over from when we did the GAPS diet, and we tend to get it out in the summer. Again, my kids, like they're all home for the summer, and they like the juicer. And so my 10-year-old's usually the one in charge of that, and he just wants to juice for a while. So I might try doing the whole celery juice in the morning. I think you have like a glass of celery juice every morning before you eat, and see what happens, see how I feel on that. Oh, and one more thing, or three more things. So I did get sick, and this is something that sometimes people feel like, oh, I'll never get sick if I eat perfectly. I just don't think that's true, or at least it's not true for me. I know I get sick a lot less if I'm eating well, but I got sick, not like super sick, but my kids brought home a cold and a cough, and then like their kids, like they're gonna cough in my face just because they're kids and they do that. And so I got sick, and I like seriously started questioning my whole no vitamin C thing. So I started just juicing a lemon and put that in some hot water for tea, and drank that for vitamin C. And then I started taking my multivitamin, which is Seeking Health brand. And that's what I was taking that on keto, and I take that when I eat regularly anyway. And so I was thinking, like, just because you're on carnivore, there seems to be some taboo, like we never need to supplement anything. And I definitely, like, my mental health is good. I was taking amino acids and different kinds of supplements for mostly mental health, some for energy, some for like brain health. And I haven't felt the need for any of those. I just like feel super good on carnivore. So I've definitely cut way back on the supplements that I'm taking. But I did start taking that multivitamin that I do give my kids every few days. Just, I don't know. I don't think it's a horrible thing to do. Second to last thing, I started doing push-ups again. So I like, when you're pregnant, a lot of times, and sorry, both these last two things are woman related. If you don't like that, you're welcome to go now. So when you're pregnant, a lot of times you'll split right here. And I've had 3 pregnancies, and I moved a bunch of times. So I didn't move during my first pregnancy. During my second pregnancy, and that baby was 11 pounds. I moved twice, and like you just can't, even if you're not really lifting stuff, like you're gonna be lifting. One was like 3 weeks before the baby was born. And then third pregnancy, again, I moved like a month before the baby was born. And so it's not uncommon, because your abdominal muscles are like way out there, for this to split if you overwork your abdomen or just from being pregnant. And so it took me, I was doing push-ups before I got pregnant the third time, and I could do 10, I think. But it took me like a month to get up to those 10. Like I was kind of working at it. It was hard. And this was kind of interesting. So I had that split, and it took, I don't know, probably 2 years for it to fully heal, because I could feel every time I tried to work out anything in my abdomen, it would start splitting again. It just like burns. And so I kind of gave that a rest for a couple of years. Well, now that baby's 5, and I've noticed that I'm just like more likely, I just feel stronger on carnivore, and it could be placebo. It could be just because I know I'm eating so much protein and so much meat, or there could be actually something to it. I feel good about exercising on carnivore. The swimming is definitely, I feel like I have way more endurance. I get that swimmer's high. I just like feel amazing. I was taking CBD oil. This is another one of those supplements that I'm not taking so much anymore. But I was taking CBD oil after I'd have a hard swim just to kind of like not be sore all over for 3 days. And I haven't taken that. Like, I don't wake up in the morning after swimming hard feeling like I need to take something to get rid of that muscle soreness. But anyway, so I've been on Carnivore and I've been like picking up my kettlebells more and trying to get my kettlebell swing back how it should be. And I've also started doing the push-ups again. And this is interesting. I went from, when I first started doing it, was like probably 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, I should try doing push-ups again. And it does work your abdomen. So I hadn't been doing it, but my abdomen has been healed for a while now. And I've just been lazy. And so I could do one push-up when I started. And you guys say I'm not fit. You say I don't look fit. You're right. I'm not fit. This is not something that I'm trying for. But anyways, I could do one push-up when I started. And the next day I could do 2 push-ups. And then, so I've been doing this for like a week and I'm up to 5 push-ups. For me, compared to like when I had tried doing push-ups before, I feel like I'm gaining. It could be muscle memory because when I got pregnant, I could do 10. And then I didn't maintain that during pregnancy because I just didn't care. But it's been now, I mean, that was 6 years ago that I could do 10 push-ups, and for me to gain all the way back to 5 in just a week, I thought was pretty interesting, and that might be a side effect of the carnivore diet. Another thing related to having babies is everything kind of falls down. So the Diva cup is something that I use for periods. It's like this little cup. No, I'm not going to show you. It's this little cup and you kind of stick it up there. It suctions up there and then it takes the blood. And then it holds the blood from your period instead of using a tampon or a pad. I've been using the Diva cup for like the past 10 years. And I had noticed, and this is after, I think I started using it after I had my second kid. And so I've been using it for about the past 10 years, maybe 8 years. And it's something that before I had to always Kegel it up there. And so if you Kegel it, it'll stay in its spot. So if you've had kids, your pelvic floor sort of moves down and everything becomes softer, and like your uterus is usually hanging a little bit lower, your cervix is hanging lower in your vagina. And sorry, I'm super comfortable talking about this. I'm like a home birther. I can talk to you about breastfeeding. I can talk to you about poop. It's just something I'm comfortable talking about. So I thought that was interesting that once I started doing the push-ups, I'm not sure if it was related to the push-ups or it's related to carnivore or it's like my body healing itself, but like I don't have to Kegel that Diva cup up there at all anymore. And it's like way up there. So noticing that that has all raised up, which is probably women's like more healthy position. And if you do natural family planning where you check your cervix, which is something that I've done just to kind of be in touch with my body, know when I'm fertile, know when I'm not. I use backup birth control as well. Like you are very familiar with where your cervix is at different points in your cycle, and it's just way further up. And I thought that was an interesting side effect. It could be because of like the increased core strength, because push-ups really do use some of your core. It could be from the kettlebells, which also increases your core strength, or it could just be that I'm providing my body with the nutrients it needs to repair itself and kind of bring it physically back into the position that it prefers to be. That's our 2-month update on the carnivore diet. If you'd like to learn more, go ahead and click over there. I'm going to tell you exactly what you can and cannot eat on the carnivore diet and the different versions, which are like more or less strict, and why. And then over there you can see my other 2 updates of how I was like super surprised at how much I love the carnivore diet. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later.